This is Cerebro Soul Podcast, the inner dive for those remembering something ancient within themselves. My name is Rain, and it is 11:11 as we begin. A moment many experience as a pause, an opening. Welcome. May we approach this space with gratitude and respect for the land, its first stewards, and one another as we explore inner life. So let us invite clarity, truth, and wisdom, allowing everything else to gently fade away. It is so good to be among you as we co-create this first episode, the opening episode of Cerebro Soul Podcast. It's been a really long time coming, and I am so happy that this is finally anchoring into the physical plane of reality. So I would like to start this first episode by giving a proper ceremonial land acknowledgement to Mother Gaia. I have come from far away my entire life and beyond to realize that I am here now, present, walking among you, realizing how blessed I am to be aware of the importance of my presence here on earth and the presence of all beings that are here on earth now, for this awakening, this reawakening, this re-indigenizing ourselves to the land with humble respect for its first stewards. And with that being said, I would like to state that my voice comes from the heart of the Nicola Valley, from the ancestral, traditional, and unceded territory of the Squexmix, Nlikepamuks, and Silks peoples in what is colonially known as Merritt, British Columbia. I honor the elders, seen and unseen, past, present, and future, and the deep cultural presence that continues here today. May I walk with authenticity and vulnerability and humbleness in my words, in my actions, and in direction of this podcast. I ask for support from the ancestors, from my lineage, and from my family of humans, my entire family, beyond lineage, beyond borders, beyond skin color, gender, race, to come and support me. May these words be bigger than myself. May they be of service to others. May they touch the hearts of whoever needs to feel love. May they be of truth with a capital T. And if I speak out of ego or out of absolute or out of wanting to resist any intelligence or wisdom that wants to come from the divine, may you please humble me and remind me to speak from a place of kindness and from a place of Christ consciousness and from a place of multi-dimensional self. I will be explaining a lot of these terms. I know they can sound a little bit big, a little bit overwhelming, a little bit woo-woo, a little bit crazy. And yet here we are. So why is it that spiritual concepts and talk is so overwhelming to the self? Why is it that we hear words like that, like frequency, vibration, anchoring, earth, mother, Gaia, and we go, ooh, no, I don't want to be part of any of this. That's woo-woo. That's dark energy. That's nonsense. Why is there such a resistance to words that carry pure love? That's a big question to ask, isn't it? And so on this opening episode, I would like to focus on perhaps diving within, because that is the slogan of the podcast itself, for those remembering something ancient within themselves. What is your connection within? And if your connection within is one that you've been told not to go there, because it would be something that stands against the divine, why is that, I ask? Why are we being told that diving within is not okay? Why are we being told that diving within might be in complete opposition of the divine, when diving within is the way to find the divine? These are moments of deep reflection. Why are words that are backed up by even science in today's day and age, words like frequency, that every object carries its own frequency, why is it so scary when we hear somebody say these words? When we hear somebody saying that they are channeling spirit, why do we go, oh, I don't want to be part of that religion? Even though we are always all channeling at all times. We are channeling our anger. We are channeling joy. We are channeling our childhood trauma. We are channeling our mother when we are triggered, or our grandfather when we are in deep recognition of the past. We are channeling maybe our great grandparents when we decide to do an art piece and we don't know where that came from, but perhaps it came from deep energy from way up the lineage. So we are always channeling. We are spiritual beings. We are human. We are made of light, of different hues, of different frequencies. And so what is our connection within? And I understand for a lot of people, diving within is very scary, because it means perhaps having to face certain things, emotions that we are not ready to face. And so Cerebro Soul Podcast is there to not necessarily give you your own personal answer to these questions, but is there to provide and share tools to access these answers for yourself. And it is going to be a sacred place to know how to dive within, with how to build sacred space, how to know your yes and no, how to know which energies to call in, and how to trust them and why to trust them. What are the golden rules and why are they there? And it will be your job, if you are tuning into this podcast, to either take in what resonates, or discard what doesn't resonate, dissolve what might be triggering, transmutate it, send it back to me, and for me to perhaps evolve as I connect with every single one of you, because this is a co-creation. We have been walking for a very long time to find ourselves here now together and listening to this, interacting together, because it's not just me speaking right now. I'm coming from a place of channeling right now, which is a place of channeling not only my higher self, but channeling every single one of you listening, and beings of the highest good and most benevolent light that wish to interact within this sacred space. So myself, Rain, I am, and let's provide a fun label here, a multi-dimensional channel. I can channel any energies that I wish to connect myself with, because I recognize that I do not have a soul. I am the soul. But not only am I the soul, but I am the one soul. So every being, every animal, every human, every object is a different aspect of the divine experiencing itself through different things. We are all just different things, but we are the same thing. And so in this great paradox, I can choose to connect myself with anything that I wish to connect myself with. But, and here's the big but, I choose to connect with only beings that are here for my highest good and most benevolent light, and the highest good and most benevolent light of all being. And this took years in the making. I had my spiritual awakening, yes, there's another big word right there, in 2017. I was going through a horrifying divorce. And maybe that shouldn't have been such a big thing, but I was so comfortably numb in a construct that I had created for myself, in this ideology of what should be making it in life, being on autopilot, never really being there, because I wasn't acknowledging that there wasn't so much fun after all. But like a good little sheep, I wanted to play this out for the rest of my life, till death do me part. And I'm very grateful now for what my ex-husband did, even though I don't condone any of the actions. But that rude awakening, because I never saw it coming, triggered such a huge awakening. It was the most precise blow to my numb cocoon that made all the emotions that were very well compartmentalized break free. And I threw up day after day after day from all the emotions that I couldn't hold in anymore. They all wanted to be free. And after a month and a half of releasing, I completely had a moment of epiphany where I could not understand it, but it was a feeling that took over all of my being. Some people would call that the Holy Spirit, and I would agree. I am non-religious, but I would agree, because the Spirit is holy. All spirit is holy. And so I received that energy, which I would claim is the spirit of my higher self that wanted to come back and say, now I am ready to play. And I could sense and feel and hear beyond what seemed to be the now present moment. So to explain, I would be all right in one moment, and then the next moment, all of a sudden, I would enter a deep, deep, suicidal, emotional wave. And it was so dramatic and drastic from the moment before where I seemed to be so peaceful and at joy with myself that I could only go, this isn't me. Where is this coming from? What is happening? And then by asking these questions, I would get the answer, and then I would have to fight with myself going, what is happening here? What is going on with me? This can't be real. This can't be happening. And then calling this person and saying, I don't know if you're going to think that I'm crazy, but I don't think you're okay, and I'm here if you need to talk. And then them saying, how did you know? And me saying, I didn't. I don't know what's going on. And so this initiation through fire of that spirit coming in was so intense. I couldn't recognize sometimes when I was, where I was, who I was, what I was, because I was all over the place. And this is what is called sometimes clairsentience, clear feeling. But mine was so strong that I wasn't grounded because I wasn't fully in my body yet. And luckily, where I was living at the time, I ended up very coincidentally, but yet nothing is ever a coincidence, going to a spiritual arts school. And it was by donation, and there were so many different kind of meditations being offered, but yet people, teachers there that offered guidance on what it is to have your abilities, your extra senses being online. And that this isn't crazy. This is actually the normal standard. That we've been placed in this matrix our entire lives so that we could forget, so that our energy, and I'm going to use a big word here, and I'm sorry if that's going to scare you, and I'm sorry if that's going to trigger you, but it has to be said, because our essence is being fed upon. Like vampires, it's being fed upon so that we stay good little sheep and we don't realize and understand that our gifts are more than what is in the present physical plane of existence. And our job in coming here and incarnating here on earth is to bring back that energy that has been stolen. Gaia will no longer tolerate this energy of her children being stolen. She will activate us more and more, and it will be scary for a lot of us to come online because the body has to shed so much karma. And that's okay. You will be able to handle all of it because we are all ascending together. We are all rising together. Even those that have caused the most harm here on earth will rise. And the way that they will rise is to be held accountable. Their highest expression here on earth for them will be to be held accountable for their actions. We do not seek revenge. This is not part of the light. We seek accountability. And so, kind of went on a tangent there, but I really love working in non-linearity. So going here, coming back there, going a little bit up on a tangent, but it all works together in the end. It always works together in the end. What I am bringing here with you all is the Christ consciousness. It's always been here. And it is not only Brother Yeshua who has that ability. It is every single one of us. Yes, it is even the Christians, the Muslims, the Jews, the Hindus, the Taoists. All beings have that divine energy within themselves. When we dive in and we find the sovereign self within, it doesn't matter the details of how we got there and how we are coming there and how we are presenting ourselves when we are there. What is the costume that we come in? When we all meet ourselves as the sovereign self, it is the same frequency no matter who or what we believe in. It's the same frequency. The sovereign self is pure divine energy, love. Whether you call that source, whether you call that Allah, Buddha, Krishna, the all that is, or just the great void or mother, it is all divine energy, source, love. And so who cares how you got there? Rejoice in the fact that you are there. And there is not an absolute. We don't work in absolutes. When you find a sovereign self, it is a certain frequency that you get to ride forever. You get to play in that dimension forever. Yes, sometimes you'll slip and fall and go back into another dimension, but you, just like surfing, you get back up on that board and you surf the wave of the sovereign self. There is no absolute. Some could argue that an absolute doesn't even exist really, because there's always growth. And so even tuning into an absolute, there is growth in discovering what an absolute is. It is infinite. It is always unfolding within that absolute, I suppose so. And so to ride the wave of the sovereign self is to always expand, is to always grow, is to always learn more about yourself within other aspects of reality, whether that is expressed through cooking, dancing, farming, technology, computers. It will always be an expansion towards your higher self and most benevolent life. And at some point, there is no separation with the self and the other. When you find your sovereign self, you cannot tell the difference between what you are doing for yourself, what you are giving for yourself, and what you are giving for others, because there is no difference. You are doing it because it gives you great joy. And what gives you great joy is to do it for yourself and others. There is no separation. And so what is it to walk in a state of pure unity consciousness? It's a place where you can walk in bliss for a very long time, but not just bliss. It's a place where you can walk with rage, with happiness, with joy, with sadness, with grief, but all of them you are not only willing to feel, but you are feeling, and not necessarily with the story, because the feeling and the story are not the same. The mind likes to narrate a lot, just like a voiceover on the movie. And the mind really likes to play a voiceover over everything that you do. But it is not the feeling. It's just a voiceover. The feeling is the feeling. And the feeling is not so overwhelming when you just allow yourself to feel it without the narration of it. And so it is this beautiful frequency of whatever comes, like Rumi said, be it the guest house. Allow all these emotions to come. Greet them at the door. Let them come through. Let them teach you. Let them awaken you. And dance with all of them. And realize that you can talk to the tree. You can talk to the bee. You can talk to the grass or the table or the chair. You can feel their energies. You can talk to your great-great-great-grandmother, even if she's not seemingly physically there right now. You can see whatever energies you want. You can be symbiotically connected to the weather, so when you're happy, it is a full sunny day, and when you are releasing a deep trauma, there's a storm that comes right alongside with you, not because you caused it, but because you are connected to it. You are walking exactly the same path as it. It is channeling your energy, and you are channeling it. And perhaps when there are some people across the earth that are going through some deep turmoil, you cannot explain why you are going through a deep turmoil. It's because your energy is helping them. You are helping your human family. We are helping one another. And it's not just human. It is the plant. It is the animal. It is the intra or extraterrestrial. Ooh, that we're going to talk about too one day. But Cerebro Soul is going to be this sacred space where we can approach philosophical topics, spiritual topics, intellectual topics, emotional topics, and hopefully they will all make sense together. It will definitely not be a linear journey, and you have no obligation to follow it linearly. You have no obligation to follow it in the entire episode. You can just tune in to 5 minutes, 10 minutes. You have no obligation to participate to anything. And yet, if you are here, I send you so much love, and I am so grateful that you are tuning into this project, this experiment, this wanting of many beings to interact with one another. And so to come back to this state of unity consciousness, what is it like to be able to tune into the all that is, from within and without? Because without is the projection from within of the all that is, through your unique perception, your unique gifts, your unique abilities, your unique thought patterns, your unique emotional tendencies, your unique physical body or identity or personality. What is it to be able to walk in unity consciousness? What is it to be able to remember something ancient and deep within yourself? What is it to walk here this way now? I guess we'll find out. And I really hope that this podcast will bring deep activations for you. A deep moment of lucidity, as I like to call them, where you just know. You don't know how you know, but you just know. And that knowingness is so contradictory from the knowingness that we've been taught all our lives. We like to say, how do you know this? And the typical answer is, oh, I know this because I read it in a book, or I've done 10 years of studies on this. But claircognizance, clear knowing, is a knowing without knowing. Because it is not you that know, but it is Source or the divine that knows and is giving you that information. And it comes in so quickly that it just blasts out of your mouth and you have no idea why you just said that, how you said it, and how it seems to make perfect sense because it resonates within all your body. And you just know. You just know. And every time somebody's going to ask you, how do you know? You're going to say, I don't, but I just do. So I hope that this podcast brings you those moments of deep lucidity that is brought forth from deep presence. It's a podcast that will be just audio because this is the way that I wanted it to come forth. I am someone who has a really hard time multitasking in the sense of when I want to hear something, I can't look at it at the same time. If somebody's feeding me some deep, beautiful poetry, I have to look away to listen. And so I wanted to welcome you and invite you to my space, a space of deep listening, a space where you create sacred space to invite the information to come through. And please, whatever doesn't resonate, let it go. Let it go. Just let it go. Let it go. And deep breath and just continue. Who cares if you don't resonate with everything? Who cares? Seriously, who cares? I say this with deep love. We all trigger one another. And so let it be. Sometimes the trigger is to get us to a greater place. It isn't personal. It's just vibrational. If there is a trigger, it's because something wants to come to the surface and something wants to be transformed and released and sent back to source. So for this podcast, I invite people of all walks of life, all kinds of religion, all kinds of belief systems. I really hope that here we can feel the frequency of the sovereign self beyond our personal belief. Because, as I said before, finding the sovereign self will be the same frequency, just the details will be different, but yet we should be able to see one another and see the divine in me recognizes and sees the divine in you. So I really hope that we can all find ourselves here in that space. And I choose to call that space Cerebro Soul. Why? Because it was another moment of I don't know. It just came to me. It just really it came to me. It was years and years in the coming. And so I hope that this first episode was a proper introduction in setting the rules of play of what this podcast might be about. I will be bringing in guests to talk about different topics of how to dive within, or their way of diving within. Not how to, because there's many different ways to dive within. And then you take what resonates. So the coming up episode will be entirely on setting up sacred space and how that might look like in many different ways. but more specifically how I've been taught, and I would like to share that, and I will probably channel a lot of different energies that want to come through and share why this way is efficient. And yet please understand that there are many different efficient ways that are not part of my personal experience, but I do know that they are efficient. And perhaps if you are inspired to dive within, then you'll at least have some tools. You won't go in there drowning. Just like a scuba diver, you'll have the equipment. Somebody will say, this equipment is good for diving to the depths below. Now, if you want to go deeper, this equipment would be good. And how to breathe. And this isn't a space, when I say diving within, I think this has to be mentioned right now. I'm not talking about meditation. I really want to separate the word meditation from diving within. Because diving within can be meditation, but it can be journeying, and it can be just listening, and it can be just feeling, and it can be just tuning in to the void with no thoughts, no place, no being, nothing. It can be that too. And so I'm not here to preach meditation. I'm here to say, if you want to go see how we are all connected, and if you want to connect with the highest good and most benevolent light, well, come join us. Come join us. We are all here. We are all here. And why is sacred space so important? Is, as you can see in the external reality here on earth, how there are some energies that are here to harm us. There are wars going on. There are things from files that are being revealed that are absolutely atrocious. That same energy lies within, brothers and sisters. That same energy, some would call it satanic, some would like to call it draconian, some would like to call it conspiracy theory. I don't have the words for all the possibilities of that frequency being expressed, but it exists. And if it exists without, you better believe that it exists within, because you are connected to everything. You're connected to the all that is, because you are part of creation. You are not separate from it. And so building sacred space will be so important, because it dictates, just like this first episode, the rules of play. Where are the boundaries in this infinite world of possibilities? Where are the boundaries which I determined are safe and here for my highest good and most benevolent light? Where are those boundaries? If I don't recognize how far I can go and where the limit is, I can go too deep, too far. I can dissociate. I can invite energies that I do not want to invite. And so that will be lesson 1. Sacred space. These words should not scare you. Listen to the light. There is no trickery here. Listen to the light. I'm speaking to you specifically because I hear you being triggered. There is only light here. Listen to the light. How do you invite only your highest good and most benevolent light? How do you connect with the divine? How do you build sacred space to know that you are in communion with the divine, with beings that are here for your highest good and most benevolent light? Lesson 1, you cannot enter without that foundation. You cannot enter without that foundation. Not in this space, not here in Cerebro Soul Podcast. You cannot. I'm not inviting you. If you are here and you wish to be inspired and find a way to dive within, then you are here to do it as a disciple of light. Doesn't matter what religion, it's all the same. You are a pillar of light, whether in Hinduism, whether your pillar of light is through Krishna, let it be that foundation to you. Whether that pillar of light is through Yeshua, which you refer to as Jesus, let that pillar of light be that everlasting love of the divine. And yet we come in here with words of sacredness, with words of sacred space. That'll be our first episode. And my hope is to bring other light workers, and I refer to anybody who chooses to embody the light, a light worker. Anyone. You could be a chef. If you're embodying the light of food for yourself and for others, well, there you go. Congratulations, you're a light worker. I know those are big words, who cares? But my hope is to bring other light workers. I don't care how many years of experience they have. I don't care who they are. I just care about their passion and devotion to be sharing their thoughts and feelings on sacred space and other topics along the way. I think for me, just to bring an end to this first episode, I would like to just say that I come from a place on my mother's side that has been severed from the land. My grandparents were Palestinian, born and raised in Palestine, and they were forced to leave. And my great-grandparents were also Palestinian. And there's been so much trauma and suffering and this theme of belonging that's been questioned my entire life. And something that I had to work through, not only through my own body and to dissolve deep traumas, but through the semantics of where I chose to incarnate here on earth. Being born in Montreal, in a province, Quebec, that is very much so wanting to separate from Canada. And here I am in hindsight looking from a bird's eye view on all these layers of deep topic of belonging. Here we go. Layer number 1 somewhere. The Holy Land. Who does it belong to? Isn't Gaia, the entirety of Gaia, holy? Isn't all her land holy land? Layer 1. And then Canada, a country set on stealing till this day, territories from its first stewards. I please invite you, if you're deeply triggered by this, to go watch documentaries like If an Owl Whispers Your Name. Beautiful documentary. Yinta on YouTube. Beautiful documentary. And then we go to Quebec. So a province that is strong in colonialism, New France, that wants to, again, separate from those deep layers, but is also part of that layer. I was exposed many times in Montreal, even though I spoke French, to go back to your country. You don't belong here, because I wasn't speaking the pure blood French, what they refer to over there as pure laine. Pure, if I'm not part of that pure Quebecer lineage, then I do not belong on the land that I was born on. And then here's another deep layer of being sexually abused as a child for many, many years. And so I don't even belong to my own body, because my body isn't safe. And so I worked through my entire life understanding this deep layer of colonialism, conquering, being conquered, and the cycle repeating itself, perpetuating itself over and over and over. Before the Palestinians on my mother's side, they were Italians, and even though they came probably very peacefully to Palestine, they came from the European Roman Catholic place, a place that took on Christianity as a political move. Yes, I studied theology. Believe me, I was born and raised as a Roman Catholic and broke free from that a long time ago, because my devotion made me read theology and discovering that what Yeshua was preaching was not in the construct of Roman Catholicism, not for me. Please don't take that as an insult to you if you are there, but it is not for me. It is not for me. And then I wanted to know, but there are so many first stewards of the earth. Where in my lineage were the first stewards of the earth? And how do I re-indigenize myself to that? And it caused so much heartache and turmoil, because I don't even know how to identify myself when people say, "Where are you from?" I don't like to use the word Canada, because it is a country that has been built on stolen land. I have no trouble saying that I don't agree with that. No, thank you. I'm not passing that on to my seed. I'm not comfortable sometimes saying that I'm Palestinian either. I've been brought up my entire life being told, don't tell people where you come from. They think we are terrorists. You will not be safe. That hurts. But has the lineage been there long enough for me to claim that? And then if I say that I am Italian, even my DNA says I'm mostly Italian, more than half of my percentage. Does that mean anything to me? I have no connection. And so I am approaching life now from a place of wanting to dissolve borders within myself. I'm so tired of shenanigans. Enough. Enough. I walk on Gaia. She is my mother, and her land is holy, and there is no border to her. And I re-indigenize myself to her, and I pay respect to the first stewards that she has placed me on. She has placed me here. Nobody placed, not even myself, there is nowhere that I can walk on earth without the approval and consent and overseeing of Gaia. We are, it's just the way it is. I'm sorry, that sounds like an absolute, but I am her child. I am her child. She is my mother. We are one. So I hope it doesn't sound so much of an absolute, but I hope you understand that I want this space to be of pure love, where we come and we put our costumes aside, we put our identity aside, we put all of ourselves aside, and we just come as a being of light, just a being of light. Let's just be together, a council of light, all together. Every single one of us, let's just be a council of light. Perhaps this is just going to be something that you put in the background while you cook. Perhaps this is something that you are going to put aside everything and just sit down and listen. Perhaps this is going to be something that you put on while you jog. However it wants to be listened to, let it be so. I just wanted to give you a big spiel on this opening episode and say thank you so much for being here. I am sending you so much love. Thank you, thank you, thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I will see you soon with love. It's time for a deep breath in, allowing anything that resonates to digest within the body, letting it root into the earth with gratitude for the land that holds us. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being a unique expression of the divine self. Thank you for incarnating with our human family here on earth. And thank you for being a reflection of love just by being yourself. You are loved. You are loved. You are loved.